This week we're looking at Proverbs chapter 3, 11 through 12. Call this Do Not Despise Discipline. That's the main command here in these passages. So let's start off today by looking at the passage. It says, My son, do not despise the Lord's discipline or be weary of his reproof, for the Lord reproves him whom he loves, as a father, the son in whom he delights. So, that's what we're looking at this week, or today actually, and this week too. But this message, or this lesson today, I want to talk about what to beware of during discipline. So you're going to experience discipline in your life. That's a given. We should expect that to happen. So there's some things we need to beware of, and that's what this passage teaches us. There's the idea of despising discipline and then growing weary of rebuke. So we got to make sure we're aware of both of these. So let's talk about despising discipline first. What is this talking about here? How should we not despise discipline? Well, I want to give you a biblical example so we can kind of see what's an example, actually a negative example. And it's Numbers 16. So if you have your Bible, turn with me over to Numbers 16. This is the story of Korah's rebellion. The whole chapter is about Korah's rebellion. So let me just give you a little bit of it. It says, let's start at the beginning. Now Korah, the son of Izhar, son of Kohath, son of Levi, and Dathan, and Abram, the son of Eliab, and On, the son of Peleth, sons of Reuben, took men, and they rose up before Moses with a number of the people of Israel, 250 chiefs of the congregation, chosen from the assembly, well-known men. And they assembled themselves together against Moses and against Aaron, and said to them, You have gone too far, for all in the congregation are holy, every one of them, and the Lord is among them. Why then do you exalt yourselves above the assembly of the Lord? When Moses heard it, he fell on his face, and he said to Korah and all his company, In the morning the Lord will show who is his, and who is holy, and will bring him near to him. The one whom he chooses he will bring near to him. Do this, take censers, Korah and all his company, put fire in them, put incense on them before the Lord tomorrow, and the man whom the Lord chooses shall be the Holy One. You have gone too far, sons of Levi. And Moses said to Korah, Here, now, you sons of Levi, is it too small a thing for you that the God of Israel has separated you from the congregation of Israel to bring you near to himself, to do service in the tabernacle of the Lord, and to stand before the congregation to minister to them? And then he brought you near to him, and all your brothers, the sons of Levi, with you. And would you seek the priesthood also? Therefore it is against the Lord that you and your company have gathered together. What is Aaron that you grumble against him? So you get the scene here is that Korah and his followers think that Moses and Aaron have put themselves in charge of the people of Israel, that they are self-appointed, not appointed by God, and therefore they're angry. They're like, we're all equal here. Who are you above me? So, you just did this to get yourself, power and position. And Moses calls him out. He's like, well, okay, whatever. And then, why are you grumbling against Aaron? What did he do? Then you get to verse 12, and it says, Moses sent to call Dathan and Abram, the sons of Eliab, and they said, We will not come up. This is a small thing that you brought us up out of the land of flowing with milk and honey to kill us in the wilderness. See, this is the problem. Like, but, that you must also make yourself a prince over us. Moreover, you have not brought us into a land of flowing with milk and honey, nor given us inheritance of fields and vineyards. Will you put out the eyes of these men? We will not come up. Moses was very angry and said to the Lord, Do not respect their offering. I have not taken one donkey from them. I have not harmed one of them. And Moses said to Korah, Be present, you and all your company, before the Lord, you and they and Aaron tomorrow, and let every one of you take his censer and put incense in it, and every one of you bring before the Lord a censer, 250 censers, and also an Aaron and each his censer. So every man took his censer and put fire in them and laid incense on them and stood at the entrance of the tent, a meeting with Moses and Aaron. Then Korah assembled all the congregation against them at the entrance of the tent of meeting, and the glory of the Lord appeared to all the congregation. The Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, Separate yourselves from among the congregation, that I may consume them in a moment. And they fell on their faces and said, O God, the God of spirits of all flesh, shall one man sin, and will you be angry with all the congregation? The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Say to the congregation, Get away from the dwelling of Korah, Dathan, and Abram. Then Moses rose, went to Dathan and Abram, and the elders of Israel followed him. And he spoke to the congregation, saying, Depart, please, from the tents of these wicked men. Touch nothing of theirs, lest you be swept away with all their sins. So they got away from the dwelling of Korah, Dathan, and Abram. And Dathan and Abram came out and stood at the door of their tents, together with their wives, their sons, and their little ones. So they roped all their family into it. And Moses said, Hereby you shall know the Lord has sent me to do all these works, and that has not been of my own accord. If these men die as all men die, or if they are visited by fate of all mankind, then the Lord has not sent me. But the Lord creates something new, and the ground opens its mouth and swallows them up with all that belongs to them. And they go down alive into Sheol. Then you shall know that these men have despised the Lord. As soon as he had finished speaking all these words, the ground under them split apart, and the earth opened its mouth and swallowed them up with their households and all the people who belonged to Korah and all their goods. So they and all that belonged to them went down alive into Sheol, and the earth closed over them, and they perished from the midst of the assembly. And all Israel who was around them fled at their cry, for they said, Lest the earth swallow us up. And fire came out from the Lord and consumed the 250 men offering the incense. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Tell Eleazar the son of Aaron, the priest, to take up the censers out of the blaze, and scatter the fire far and wide, for they have become holy. As for the censers of these men who have sinned at the cost of their lives, let them be made into hammered plates as a covering for the altar, for they offered them before the Lord, and they became holy. Thus they shall be assigned to the people of Israel. So Eleazar the priest took the bronze censers, which those who were burned had offered, and they hammered it out as a covering for the altar, to be a reminder to the people of Israel, so that no outsider who was not a descendant of Aaron should draw near to burn incense before the Lord, lest he become like Korah and his company, as the Lord said to him through Moses. Here's the key. But on the next day, all the congregation of the people of Israel grumbled against Moses and against Aaron, saying, You have killed the people of the Lord. Okay. First of all, there's a lot wrong with that statement, right? You have killed. Well, actually, the ground opened up and swallowed them up. You killed the people of the Lord. Were they really the people of the Lord? There's a debate about that, right? Why did God kill them if they were his people? So, and when the congregation had assembled against Moses and against Aaron, they turned toward the tent of meeting. And behold, the cloud covered it, and the glory of the Lord appeared. And Moses and Aaron came to the front of the tent of meeting, and the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Get away from the midst of the congregation, that I may consume them in a moment. And they fell on their faces. And Moses said to Aaron, Take your censer and put fire on it from the altar, and lay incense on it, carry it quickly to the congregation, and make atonement for them, for wrath has gone out from the Lord, the plague has begun. So Aaron took it as Moses said, and ran into the midst of the assembly, and behold, the plague had already begun among the people. And he put on the incense and made atonement for the people, and he stood between the dead and the living, and the plague was stopped. Now those who died in the plague were 14,500. Those who died besides those who died in the affair of Korah. And Aaron returned to Moses at the entrance of the tent of meeting when the plague was stopped. Now, see, here is an example of people despising the discipline of God. All right? Here's an example. What are they doing? They're getting mad. They got angry because God disciplined the people. What did he do? He took out Korah and Dathan and Abram and their families and all their stuff. And the people are like, oh, you killed us, Moses. You're killing us. And they're sitting there complaining like, no, God just disciplined you people. He disciplined the people. He's like, you know what? I'm not going to allow you to do this. You're not going to disregard my commands. And so he disciplines the people. And what do? They despise it. You know, they despise Moses and Aaron. They're actually despising God ultimately. But And so they've grown weary of discipline. They don't like it. They don't want it. And when God goes out and he then begins to kill them, 14,700 people died of plague on that day. Because they didn't want the discipline of the Lord. They hated it. If they loved the discipline of the Lord, they've been like, oh man, Korah and Dathan and Abram are gone. We need to get our acts together here. We need to do what the Lord says. But they don't do that. They despise it, and then they start complaining and grumbling about it. That's the problem. So number 16 is a good example of people who despise discipline, right? And that's the story of Israelites. God would discipline them, and they don't turn to God. They turn away from him over and over again. Why did the people not all get destroyed there? It's not because they loved the Lord. It's because of Moses and Aaron. That's it. These people hated the Lord. They despised the Lord. So it's God's people, quote unquote. It's God's Israel, but yet God's killing them all because they all hate him. None of those people are following except for Moses and Aaron, and then the other Levites. So, but anyway, so we see here that there's a despising of discipline. So what should we not do? What do we learn from this? First of all, we don't get angry at God. If he is disciplining us, if there's something in our lives that's disciplining us, we cannot get angry at God. That's the wrong answer. That's what you don't do. So that's the first thing. We don't get angry at God. And second of all, we shouldn't be questioning God. Right? We like, why did God put you in charge? You see this here too. They're angry at God. God destroys it. And it's like, who put you? You're killing us. Why did God put Moses and Aaron in charge? They suck. And so they're questioning why Moses and Aaron are in that place, right? Why are they there? And really, Moses and Aaron are very merciful, because they could have said, yeah, the whole nation is horrible. Just destroy them all, God. But they're merciful people. Or maybe they're just naive. I don't know. Either way, but so the people begin to question God. God, why are you doing this? So if you're despising discipline, you're going to start questioning God and what he's doing in your own life. Like, God, why are you doing this? How could you do this to me? I've done all these things right. I've done everything I'm supposed to do. And here I am going through all this stuff. Why, God? Why are you doing this to me? That's not how we're supposed to respond. God's disciplining us. Yeah, I deserve discipline. I want discipline. I love discipline. So that's the problem. We begin to question the Lord. What's the next thing? We blame others. Oh, Moses and Aaron. Man, they're killing us. Why did you kill us, Moses? Like, wait a minute. He didn't go out there with a sword and start slashing and hacking people. The ground literally opened up and swallowed the people up and then covered back over them, so you couldn't even tell that they were there. Like, Moses did that? Moses has the control over that. No, that's just stupid, right? You're just lashing out. Because now, okay, I'm angry at God. I'm questioning whether he's good or not. And now I'm going to start blaming other people for the discipline I'm under. Why? Because I don't want the discipline. I despise the discipline. So I start pointing fingers at other people. Oh, it's your fault. It's your fault. It's your fault. How many times have I seen that in the church? People are under discipline, and they're like, oh, it's your fault that this is happening. Like, no, it's not everybody else's fault. Take responsibility for yourself, right? There you go. And then, next thing is that people deny that they need discipline. Like, these people don't even mention it. Like, it's like, as if Korah and all of them were doing what was right. I mean, the Lord literally opened the ground up, and they're like, man, it's your fault. Why are you killing these people? Like, no, it was their fault. Don't deny the need for discipline. We all need discipline. We all need it. There's hardly ever a time when we don't need discipline. So if we're going to be walking around, strutting around like, hey, I don't need discipline, I'm perfect. No, that's a lie. Then the last thing here is we think more highly of ourselves than we should. And that was going on here too, right? They thought they were better than Moses and Aaron. They're despising God's discipline. They don't want to go out into the wilderness. They just wanted a clear highway right to the promised land. Give us everything. Give us everything. And then we'll be good. So they're thinking more highly of themselves. Like, you don't think you need to go through a trial? You don't think you need to go through some suffering? Then you don't know who you are. You don't know how bad your sin really is. You don't know how far from God you really are. Because if you knew that, then you wouldn't deny that you need discipline, that you are, that you're perfect or something like that. So we can't think more highly of ourselves than we should. So you see all that happening with this example here in Numbers 13. And then the second part is that we can't grow weary of rebuke. So don't hate the discipline, but don't get tired of it. Don't get worn out by God's discipline. If he's rebuking you, don't let it wear you out. I want to take you over to another biblical example in Psalm 13. Psalm 13, it's a short psalm. It's shorter than Numbers. So, oh, how long, O Lord, will you forget me forever? How long will you hide your face from me? How long must I take counsel in my soul and have sorrow in my heart all the day? How long shall my enemy be exalted over me? Consider and answer me, O Lord my God. Light up my eyes, lest I sleep the sleep of death, lest my enemies say, I have prevailed over him, lest my foes rejoice because I am shaken. Then it says, because I have trusted in your steadfast love, my heart shall rejoice in your salvation. I will sing to the Lord because he has dealt bountifully with me. That's the answer, right? The questions come, then the considering, and then the pleading. Consider me, Lord. Listen, Lord, I'm crying out to you. And then the answer is, but I have trusted in you. And my heart will rejoice in your salvation. And I will sing to the Lord because he's dealt bountifully with me. So what else do we need to be worried about? Well, doubting God is paying attention to your circumstance. That's what Psalm 13 is about, right? How long? God, are you listening? Will you forget me forever? Are you paying attention to me? Do you see what's happening to me? Do you see the discipline you're putting? Maybe you forgot. You put discipline on me. Maybe you forgot that I'm still here. So begin to doubt that God's paying attention to what's going on. The next thing is that we doubt that God cares. God, do you care? Are you really caring about this? Do you see? How long must I take counsel in my soul and have sorrow in my heart all day? I have sorrow in my heart all day long, Lord. Do you care that I have sorrow in my heart all day long? Are you paying attention to that, Lord? And so we begin to doubt that God actually cares for us. Does he really care about me? I don't know if he does, because I have sorrow in my heart all day, right? And that's what happens. Then we doubt that God is what? Just, right? Is he just? He says, consider and answer me, Lord. O Lord my God, light my eyes, lest I sleep the sleep of death, lest my enemies say, I have prevailed over him, lest my foes rejoice before I'm shaken. God, are you just? Because my enemies are going to come. The enemies of you, my enemies, are going to come. They're going to say, I have prevailed over him. I'm going to go. My enemies are going to come and they're going to shake me. And they're going to make fun of me. And they're going to boast. And there's going to be no justice going on there. Lord, do you care about that? So we begin to doubt that God is just. And then the next thing is that we doubt that God has good reserved for us. Maybe we've gone underneath the discipline of God for so long that we doubt that he's even good anymore, that he doesn't have good for us anymore. Now, God, do you have good for me? Is there any good left in your heart for me? How long shall my enemy be exalted over me? God, do you still have good? Is there still good? Are you working things out for my good? I don't know. And so we begin to doubt whether God has good reserved for us or not. And then finally, we forget the blessings God has already given, right? We forget that God has already given. That's what the end of the psalm that David comes back around. Even the short one, you see this turn, right? But I have trusted in your steadfast love. Yes, you have steadfast love. My heart will rejoice in your salvation. So I forget, oh yeah, but I already trusted in your love. Right? Because your love is steadfast. It doesn't change. My heart shall rejoice in you saved me. I'll rejoice in that salvation. I will sing the Lord because he has dealt bountifully with me. So I forgot. I forgot what he did. That he's already dealt bountifully with me. He's already given me so much. And now because of this discipline I'm under, I'm forgetting the blessings of God. And so we do that. And so we go through all those. We doubt God's paying attention. We doubt God cares. We doubt that God is just. We doubt that God has good still reserved for us. And then we forget the blessings that God has already bountifully given to us. And so we forget all those things. And so we need to watch out for that. Because it's so easy to be under the discipline of God and then begin to despise and grow weary when we're going under that fire, under that fiery trial. And so we need to remember that when we go through it. So I think we'll end there for today. So next time we get together, we'll take a look at some things we need to take comfort in. How can we take comfort? We looked at the dangers. Now, when the dangers of discipline, now we're going to look at we'll look at what we can find comfort in. How can we be encouraged